In 2005, he landed on Carmichael during a first moto battle for the lead. In 2006, he never made it out of practice, swapping out hard on the front straight. For the third year in a row, Unadilla bit James Stewart. The third lap of practice, another violent slam to the ground. Motocross is different without Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart. New faces, uncertainty, and for some, hope. The last time someone else had won an overall, July 27, 2003, Kevin Windham, Washougal. The last time Tim Ferry saw a checkered flag, June 15, 2003, at Budds Creek. The 2007 AMA Motocross Series is 6 rounds deep, and Stewart is yet to win. A question mark for round 7. The Kawasaki rider will have to gut out 30 minutes plus 2 laps if he wants to stay in the hunt. The ultimate test of fortitude from Lakewood, Colorado is next on Speed. The 2007 AMA Toyota Motocross Championship has made its way to Lakewood, Colorado for round 7. The Toyota Trucks Thunder Valley National. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside multi-time National Motocross Champion Jeff Emick, and Aaron Bates is joining us from down on the racetrack. Jeff, one of the big stories obviously this week, James Stewart.
Took a horrendous crash in Unadilla last week, has not been on the bike until practice Sunday morning.
There's James out on the racetrack and making his way back to the pit area, and we go to Aaron Bates for Progressive Direct pre-race report with James.
James Stewart expected to take over the championship in absence of Ricky Carmichael last weekend at Unadilla, but James, a big crash for you once again during practice there. What is it about that track, and how are you feeling today?
I don't know what it is about that track. Last 3 years, I'm not racing it next year. I got to pull out of it. You know, I can't seem to make it a moto there, and it's been tough on me, but, you know, this week was real tough on me. I haven't rode. This is the first time I rode since Sunday practice, so I just got to go out and try to do my best.
Now, it was undecided until today, after your second practice, whether or not you are going to be racing today at Lakewood. Is it for sure confirmed that you will be racing?
Yeah, I mean, I got to give it all I got, and, you know, if I get whatever I finish, you know, at least I came here and tried to race, and that's all anybody can ask for me and ask for myself. You know, if I want to win this title, I got to go through, you know, some determination and stuff. So we'll see. I'm just hoping to get out of here safe and hopefully try to get a win.
Well, guys, the number 7 is back here at the Mile High City. You can expect this battle to heat up.
Well, you can tell that James Stewart, just in his voice, that he's not exactly comfortable, that there seems to be some tightness in his chest, has a lot of stress and strain in his neck and back. We'll see how that plays out today.
There's a look at the points between him and Carmichael. 16 points the difference coming into this round as we go back and take a highlighted look at moto number 1. Gate drops, the field charges up the hill, and it's going to be the number 7 as we go on board with our Honda onboard camera. That's Jason Thomas giving us the view as Davey Millsaps on the 118 moves around him, but it's Stewart on the number 7 in the early lead.
And that is what you have to do when you want to win this championship, is that, like the great Ricky Carmichael has said, is that your championships are won on your bad days, and this is the way to make the best of it.
A couple of Honda riders, including Andrew Short, sitting back in second, chasing him. Here's Millsaps. He would eventually move to second and would chase down Stewart and make the move to get around Stewart to take the lead.
And you can see the crowd responding. Not too many riders can say that they've actually passed James Stewart. Great accomplishment at this point. A great day so far for Davey Millsaps.
Stewart would try to regroup and mount a challenge after Millsaps, and he would run pretty well, Jeff, at times.
At times, and James Stewart definitely making the most of it here, having to ride through the pain. Just a tremendous effort to even be on the motorcycle when his body is in such bad condition.
And here's Andrew Short having closed in. Short on the 29, running in third. And you could just see James Stewart, as we said, running well at times, but at other times, Jeff, just not himself.
Just not putting up much of a fight at this point, just really trying to conserve energy and not make any moves or make any, abrupt maneuvers on the bike that would cause any more trauma to his back.
And that's got to be so frustrating for James, who's normally such a give-it-all type of rider.
He definitely likes to win, and he likes to win by a long ways. So for Stewart to not only get past twice, but now to come under fire from Mike Alessi, it's definitely frustrating. But I think he understands the big picture here, and that to even get points today is a gift.
Quite an accomplishment just to make it to the day for James Stewart. For Mike Alessi, he gets to go around the outside, carries up the momentum, and gets around Stewart to move himself into third on the KTM.
And I think all of the riders here in the Premier class realize that with Carmichael out and Stewart injured, such a great opportunity to win and overall, and Millsap's here winning a moto, which nobody's done in a long time.
So Davey Millsaps takes moto number 1 here at Lakewood, Colorado. James Stewart just rolls across the line in fourth and right back to the hauler to get a little rehab, try to get himself ready for moto number 2. That's probably the one time he would be happy not to have to go to stand on the podium for a little while. So Stewart ends up 4th, Kevin Windham 5th, and Gavin Graysick comes home with a nice 6th place finish. Now here's the points after moto 1. You can see Stewart has taken the lead over Carmichael.
Well, we're so high up here. He's a little bit too exhausted to even smile, but congratulations, Davey. A very first for you. This has got to be an overwhelming feeling, especially being able to pass the number 7 of James Stewart.
Well, yeah, it's a great feeling for sure to win, but I mean, James crashed really hard last weekend, and he's out here just trying to ride, and it's good for the fans that he's coming out here for sure.
All right, Aaron, thanks very much. Congratulations to Davey Millsaps. We'll be right back from moto number 2 from Colorado. The truck that's changing it all. Wednesday, the high-revving, tire-shredding, wheel-standing, two-wheeled action returns for an all-new season. Superbikes, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, only on Speed. Everybody enjoying the sunshine on the hillside in Colorado today. James Stewart doesn't give us many opportunities to look inside his world, but recently we had the chance to spend some time with number 7. James Stewart has a lot expected of him. He's been Kawasaki's number 1 rider since the day he turned pro in 2002 and raced the lights division. For 3 years, the only thing he knew was winning races. After 2 titleless seasons in the Premier class, Stewart dominated the 07 AMA Supercross Championship. It was a dream he'd always hoped to accomplish. The pressure to make it happen from day 1 was a lot to shoulder. He learned that when you go up against a guy like Ricky Carmichael, who has won it all, you can't rush.
I felt like when I came in, I had to win, and I had to win. If I didn't win, my legacy was done. I kind of bought into that, and it was my fault because, when I went on race, I tried to win. I tried to dominate from the gate drop from then on, and that was the biggest mistake I made. When you come in so young, you don't get a chance to learn life, and I felt like, the thing that hurt me was I never got to be a kid, and then that's one thing, with racing and stuff, you don't really get to be that. And I think when I was 16, 17, and 18, I was a kid, I was, just doing whatever I felt like was right, as far as a kid, just being myself. And the thing with LeBron James is that he's always been good. He's always been good. He's always, got the same amount of points, same amount of assists. But the difference is now he passed that next level. Now he's in the NBA Finals, and I think I've always rode the same. I crashed just as much as I always did, and it's just me. That I always try, and that's the biggest thing. But it feels like you never get the credit until win the championship. And now, since I won the AMA Supercross title and trying to go for a motocross title, if I get these, it's like you really can't say anything else besides that.
When James is happy, everybody is happy. As a 21-year-old Florida native has matured, he's also become more conservative and reserved in his personal life. When he's on, his attitude is contagious.
When I'm not smiling, something has to be wrong, because I don't know what it is. I just always smile. And I think the reason I always smile is because I'm always who I am. I don't ever try to fake or being somebody else. So, I know what happens, the decisions I make, I live my decisions, and I smile because for me it's not me and somebody else who are not.
As the memory of Supercross domination fades, the 2007 motocross season has been full of lessons and patience for Stewart as he's had to face Carmichael in the first 5 rounds, all of which he finished second to the GOAT.
Yeah, when you're not winning, it's definitely hard to keep your composure. But when you're not winning and not trying, that's 2 different things. When you're winning and trying, then you kind of come to yourself like, man, I'm trying my hardest. I'm getting beat. But it's not like I'm going out around 80%. I'm trying, what I can do. And every time I race, I'll always try. And he's a great competitor, Ricky. I mean, I have the most respect out of him than anybody else. I think me and his relationship over the years have grown. And, just sitting back and kind of watching him, even racing him, you learn a lot from that guy. It's tough. It's tough getting the butt kicking every weekend, and, you got to go home and prepare, but I'll still keep on. I'll fight till I can't fight no longer.
James Stewart, what a talent and what a champion he is proving out to be. Here's Aaron Bates with Mike Fisher from Kawasaki.
We just witnessed a battered and bruised James Stewart, the number 7 aboard the factory Kawasaki, coming off the track, a 4th place of first moto, and I'm standing here with team manager Mike Fisher. Mike, obviously a devastating moment for him, but he's still up and running. Can you give us his condition and what happened in between the motos to get him back here on the start line?
Well, actually, a 4th place wasn't that bad considering what happened last weekend. I think that was very commendable, and we were just coming here to try to get some points, and I think he did a really good job at that. But what happened is he was really, really sore. It was hard for him to get off the bike. His muscles were really tight in the back of his neck, and I don't know if you guys watched, he was really tight riding, and so we tried to loosen it up. He iced it down, rested, and he feels better, but we're just going to watch. If he feels that way again earlier than he did the first moto, then he may not finish. I don't know. We're going to try to watch him, and if he looks like he's struggling, we'll try to get him signals to come in.
Well, there is James Stewart on the line getting set to go, and Jeff, it's going to be really difficult to get a guy like James Stewart to come off the track. There's Andrew Short.
Yeah, and the thing about that is that whenever there's an injury like that, you compensate with other parts of your body, and then those muscles and those parts of your body get overused.
The format, 40 riders in the gate, 2 motos. We've already had moto number 1. It'll be 30 minutes plus 2 laps per moto. Top 20 riders in each moto score points. Getting ready to go. Kevin Windham, Andrew Short, Davey Millsaps, just some of the riders that'll be trying to take the win away from James Stewart here today.
And I think one of those riders is Michael Lessie. He's been real fast of late, so has Andrew Short, Windham, and Millsaps. The Honda guys really coming on strong lately.
Oh, and Ivan Tedesco on the Makita Suzuki really could use a good run today as well.
I think that there's a great opportunity for somebody new to win this overall here today.
James Stewart really has to be cautious of the overall picture today, doesn't he?
Yeah, but what he has to be cautious of is not injuring himself anymore and just making it through the day. Now, 4th in the first moto by James Stewart standards wasn't great, but in the big picture, I think that was a pretty good ride.
That's the picture that Jason Thomas has, the Butler Brothers rider, giving us this view from our Honda onboard camera, looking up the hill to turn number 1. Anything you like about the gate here?
Well, what I was going to say is that we could see if he can duplicate that 4th place starter even better this moto than he had in the first moto.
Stewart's going to get the whole shot again, and Jason Thomas had another good start. And look at that, Stewart quickly dropping back to 2nd.
It looks like Thomas actually is 3rd this moto, so he even bettered it from the first moto. Great start, Jason Thomas.
And Davey Millsaps picking up right where he left off at the end of moto number 1. What confidence can do wonders for your riding ability.
Go out and win that first moto, thinking to yourself, okay, I got an opportunity to win the premier class in motocross competition here today in Colorado. I'm going to give it everything I got. And hole shotting at second moto is the best way to do it.
And it looks, oh, look at this. We got a rider down. Bobby Garrison on the number 69. He moved himself up into about 2nd or 3rd there for a minute, and then all of a sudden he was down.
So disappointing. Get that great start here running with the best riders in the world and then throw it away on the first lap.
And now we can take a look at the restart with our progressive direct hole shot replay.
Just take a look at Millsaps there, our first moto winner. He's right in there. Cuts to the inside, which actually he kind of got on the brakes and dove inside of Stewart, which in the first turn, that's not typically something that you want to do. You kind of just want to go with the flow.
It could have been really dangerous, couldn't it?
That it could have. And you see right here on board with Jason Thomas taking a little bit of roost already around the second turn.
Watching the rest of the field, it's Michael Byrne on the 26 in the yellow riding gear on the Suzuki. And he's chasing down Thomas on the red number 31.
Now, Michael Byrne's a rider that on this new team, this Rockstar Suzuki team this year was reformed. They've actually taken a little bit of time to get that bike dialed in. Looks like at Colorado here, got the confidence up and feeling a little better about the machine.
Well, he's around Thomas, and so is Ivan Tedesco on the number 9. So Thomas with a great start, but now he's starting to slip back a little bit.
And you can see right here as we go on board just how the track is deteriorated late in the day. I tell you, Ralph, the ruts coming out of these turns when you're in that motocross class, just so rough and so deep, and you can even see it starting to dry out a little bit. In the first moto, it was pretty wet.
Tim Perry on the Monster Energy Kawasaki. Boy, he almost gets the front end taken away. Our number 15. He was 11th in moto number 1. Of course, Ferry, the teammate to James Stewart, and he's been very fast this season. We'll see if Ferry can fight his way up through the field. We'll be right back. Colorado. The AMA Motocross Tour for the second year in a row now. And Jeff, it had been off the schedule. No racing in Colorado for quite a few years.
Yeah, through most of the 90s, it was off the schedule. I came here in '88, watched the National. I was a 17-year-old kid and was just in awe of these riders. And right now, Mike Alessi, Andrew Short, they are the stars of the premier class in motocross.
That's Mike Alessi on the KTM number 800, giving chase to the Honda of Andrew Short, number 29, in red.
And as of late, both of these riders have really made the most of each and every weekend, showing a lot of speed, getting a lot of great finishes. Here today with Carmichael being out of the championship, James Stewart riding with an injury, they all can taste that blood and they smell it, and they all know that the opportunity to win the overall here today, which would be each one of these riders' first overall, is staring them right in the face.
Andrew Short, by the way, holds down third. Just in front of him is James Stewart, and in front of James is Davey Millsaps, the winner of moto number 1 here today.
And Short actually is Colorado native, so you know he's got that extra little added incentive to win here today. He's wanting that little extra boost, get that overall.
Well, what you really need is that little extra shot of oxygen since we're racing up here in the high altitude country.
And you know, when this race got put back on the schedule, there was some talk about riders training, maybe doing some high altitude training and whatnot, but I don't think anybody's really taking advantage of that. I think they've just stuck with their original program. You know, if anyone maybe could take advantage of that, that would be Short, being local. Maybe he comes back, sees some friends, sees old riding buddies, and you know, does some riding up here. But for the most part, the talk around the pits was that everybody was just business as usual. The main thing is with the machines and what this high altitude does to the machines. Makes the engines run a whole lot hotter. The bike runs quite a bit leaner. They have to add more compression to the engine, but that 4-stroke 450 engine underneath of the gas tank, that is where the major problem comes. So the race teams have to throw a lot of insulation around the gas tank to actually keep the gasoline from boiling. Now at top speed, the bike's taking on plenty of air, it's cooling off. It's when they slow down or fall down that there becomes a problem with the bike overheating.
And we've seen mechanics, as soon as a moto is over, they go rushing out there to take temperatures.
They're taking temperatures, they're taking down that data, using it for the second moto or for next season, just gaining a little bit more experience.
All that, of course, goes back to the manufacturers and of course, these bikes being production-based machines.
Yeah, racing is part of research and development at the very highest level. And right now, we are seeing racing at the very highest level. Davey Millsaps on his way, possibly to winning his first premier class overall. James Stewart, believe it or not, still looking for his first overall of the Motocross Championship this season.
That is just absolutely astonishing to think that Stewart hasn't won one yet.
He's been one of the fastest riders.
The Carmichael guy just kept getting in the way. We'll be right back. For the lead, the number 118 of Davey Millsaps on the American Honda. being chased by the factory Kawasaki entry of James Stewart, number 7.
I tell you, it's incredible rides for both of these racers. James Stewart's ride suffering through that injury from Unadilla and is still in contention for the overall here today with a terrible injury to his back.
Well, we said at the beginning of this moto that Ivan Tedesco and the number 9 Makita Suzuki really needed a good run. He's getting one. He's in the top 5, but look who's 6th. Stewart's teammate, Tim Ferry.
Both of these riders are on the gas right now. Ferry put in a huge effort, was 11th in the first moto. Just a terrible finish for him, especially with his teammate Stewart being injured, knowing that there's an opportunity to grab that valuable overall win. Because remember, at Unadilla, he won the second moto, but he did not get the overall.
Tim Ferry has had such a great season. If there was a most improved award, it would be his this year, wouldn't you think?
And he's really just taking it with a grain of salt. He's just like, hey, I'm just doing my job. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing.
And you know what, Jeff? I don't want that to be misinterpreted about Tim Ferry. It's not that he's not been a good rider in the past. It's he's been given a good opportunity with the factory Kawasaki team this year, and he is making the most of it.
There is no doubt about that. And Ferry has always been one of our premier riders, but this year everything's clicking, and it's great to see because he is, one of the nicest guys in the pits.
Well, everything's clicking up front here too for Davey Millsaps. All in red on the American Honda. He is our race leader, and he's doing a good job of holding off James Stewart.
And not a lot of riders can say that. They're taking advantage of Stewart being a little bit injured today, but Millsaps is putting on a great ride all day. We start to see this moto. Looks like Andrew Short starting to tighten it up in 3rd. Michael Leslie's in 4th. This is something that we haven't seen in a while, but there's 4 riders. It's all starting to come together as the perfect storm.
Jeff, we heard Mike Fisher, the team manager of Kawasaki, say they were going to watch James Stewart's riding style, see how he was riding. It doesn't seem as tight to me right now as he did at the end of Moto number 1.
Well, he was definitely tight at the end of Moto 1. Was complaining of his hands actually getting numb from just holding on so tight. That's what I talked about. Other parts of the body are having to compensate and be strong when the neck and back aren't. So James Stewart definitely showing that he's a true champion. He's doing whatever he has to do to get the most amount of points here to be champion at the end of the season.
He still seems like for James he's riding a little bit in slow motion, because when James is really going, boy, he is all after it, all over the place. But do you think he looks better than he did in Moto 1?
Oh, he's definitely looser than in Moto 1, and especially when you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you know that the day's almost over. You can let it hang out. You can rest tomorrow. You can rest Tuesday, Wednesday. So he's leaving it all out on the table right now, but he's also putting in a very smart ride. He's trying to be extremely smooth on the bike, ride with a lot of finesse, not have any sudden movements or anything on the bike that can cause him to re-injure his neck and back.
I don't know if Big James will let him rest that long. 2 days off?
I think after a ride like today, he will earn a couple days off the bike and a little bit of rest.
He's doing a great job that even his dad would be proud of, I'm sure. Charging down the hill. Well, if Millsaps makes a bobble, Stewart's going to be all over him.
Well, Stewart definitely is right on him right now. It's like Millsaps really had a lot of speed at the beginning of the moto. Right now, seems to be kind of coasting through the insides.
Is it that Millsaps is slowing down, or that James is just feeling better and riding better as this moto progresses? I think James is the one who's coming on, and he takes the lead.
Good move by James Stewart. Doesn't look like that Stewart is really putting out that much of an effort. Millsaps is kind of dropping off the pace right now, and you can see that Millsaps is dropping back as Short and Alessi are catching up. Let's take a look at this replay. Millsaps just going down the inside. Stewart using a little more of a radius around the outside, carrying a little more speed. Nice pass, James Stewart.
Now James starts to stretch it out a little bit. Maybe he's inspired. Stewart going to make the most of a hard day here in Colorado. Since 7 AMA Toyota Motocross Lights Championship from Lakewood is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters. Do you live and breathe motorcycle racing? Now you can get the latest race results and news right on your phone with weekly green alerts from Speed. Text KX to 773333 on your mobile phone to receive free motorcycle racing text alerts. Speed Green Alerts presented by Kawasaki. We got a good race brewing here in Moto number 2 in Lakewood, Colorado. James Stewart has taken the lead away from that man, Davey Millsaps, on the 118. Now Millsaps' teammate, Andrew Short, on the number 29, starting to close in to get us a fight for second.
And we even see Mike Alessi, 800 on the Red Bull KTM, creeping up in 4th place, creeping up on the leaders. You know, Mike Alessi has been so close to winning an overall, but has yet to notch an overall win in the Premier class, just like Millsaps and Short.
Mike made the podium, took 3rd in Moto number 1, so he's having a good day. And here's that battle for second coming down off the hill.
This is that point in the moto where all the hard work during the week and the training and cycling and eating right, the whole combination of things comes into play.
And Short is right there.
He is right on. Millsap seems like he has really dropped off the pace right now. Well, maybe that altitude has gotten the best of him.
I was just going to say the Georgia native, not used to this high altitude. And Short, maybe inspired, racing in front of friends and family here this week.
Well, there is no doubt that Short is inspired, and combination of things with him also is helping him, help propel him to the front of the pack here. See James Stewart starting to stretch it out just a little bit. I'd say that's a pretty good ride by James Stewart in his condition, still out front leading this moto.
It's a great run for James Stewart after a serious crash at the last round in Unadilla, New York, bouncing back from that beating. There's Stewart, and look at this fight coming back up the hill now. I thought Short was going to be even closer. Looks like he slowed up just a tick coming up the hill.
Yeah, he just went a little bit wide, but it was strange to see both riders with their left hands off the bar. I don't know if they were pulling tear-offs or what, but
Mike Alessi's really closing in good, too. This is quickly going to become a 3-rider battle for second.
Well, and that's the thing. These teammates, they can't be nice to each other. They're racing for the overall here as we see Mike Alessi.
He's not worried about aggression, is he?
Just bonsaiing on the outside.
That gets him right alongside his Short in the fight for 3rd. Alessi trying to carry the momentum around the outside, gets the line taken away, and they all stack up on the inside of the next corner.
They all just funnel into these tight left and right there. All 3 of these riders are battling right now. This is for the overall here today at Lakewood. And they'll be getting the signal from their mechanics on their positions, from the mechanics in the pit board area, on their positions, where they're at, where they need to be to win this overall. Right now, though, signal from the mechanics is just go for it. Give it everything you have. Leave it all out on the track.
They're doing that. We're going to go to commercial, but we'll be right back for more from Lakewood.
Tonight.
We're back to the action here with Moto number 2 in Lakewood, Colorado, and we got a great battle going not only out on the racetrack for position here, but for the overall. James Stewart is the leader, but Millsaps, Short, and Alessi run 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And Jeff, those 3 riders were all in the top 3 of Moto number 1. So depending on how this shakes out, they all stand a shot at winning the overall here today.
Well, and even James Stewart, you could possibly win this also. He was only 4th in the first moto, so he's got a 4-1 going. Any combination right here could just switch things up. We could end up with a multi-rider tie.
Here's Short on the inside of Millsaps. Powers around him and takes the position away. So Andrew Short moves into 2nd now.
Finally tired of following his teammate. He's ready to take control of this race, take control of the overall. Take a look at this replay. Millsaps comes in. You've seen that front wheel make a little twist. I think he missed the line, the inside line that he wanted. Andrew Short was there to take advantage of it. Steals the position away from his teammate.
So now Millsaps will have to worry about Mike Alessi, the KTM rider, looking very good. And here's Ivan Tedesco and Tim Ferry. You can see them coming in there as well.
This race is really starting to heat up. Where did these guys come from? Bad starts, definitely working their way up. Millsaps with the whole shot, working his way back. But I'll tell you what, Tedesco and Tim Ferry are on the gas because they have reeled in Mike Alessi and reeled in Andrew Short and James Stewart. Have been three of the fastest riders all day.
Meanwhile, Alessi has gotten around Millsaps now, so Davey all of a sudden dropping pretty rapidly. And now Tedesco on the number 9, the Makita Suzuki rider, sets his sights on Millsaps.
I tell you what, in this Carmichael era that we've been in for so long,
Got him.
we haven't seen a battle for the overall. Let's take a look at this replay. As Michael Alessi just gets that inside line on Millsaps. Millsaps really not putting in much of a fight at this point. Don't really know what's going on, but just seems to be missing his lines right here. Once again, allowing Ivan Tedesco to just sneak on the inside of him and take the position. What I was going to say, Ralph, is that in the Carmichael era, we have not seen a group of riders, 5 or 6 riders, battling for the overall in the second moto. It's always been a Carmichael runaway, so pretty exciting.
And Ferry now going to work on Millsaps. So I think we could probably scratch Davey Millsaps out of the overall win category as Ferry gets around him as well now to take over 5th. Because a 1-5 ain't going to get the job done today.
It's not going to get the job done, but I tell you what, though, Millsaps has put in a great ride today, winning the first moto, which is just a phenomenal accomplishment. Not having the second moto that he'd like, but still a pretty good ride.
Now the battle for the lead. And Andrew Short has caught James Stewart.
Short just must be salivating at this point, having the opportunity to go past the number 7. Tremendous feat.
And Andrew had to bounce back from injury earlier this year as well, so he knows all too well what James Stewart is going through today.
She's Short. That's another one of the lines coming up to start straight. He's actually pulling some roll-offs. I missed that a couple of laps ago. A lot of roost coming off the back of Stewart's bike here. And that's one of the things is that when you pull up on a rider, you want to instantly make a pass. You don't want to stay back there behind him because then you're getting a lot of roost. Oh, as you see Michael Alessi trying to get up the inside of Short.
And he does it. Michael Alessi with a very bold move gets to the inside of Short, takes over second. And Tedesco, he's closing in as well. We're going to have another 3-rider battle for second here real soon.
I tell you what, James Stewart is right there in the sights of these riders.
But as well, Jeff, while these guys are all battling for second, the laps are ticking away, and James is staying out front, giving him a better chance to rest and save some energy if he's got to fight for the win.
Well, he's going to have to fight for the win. There's no doubt about it. We've got a whole group of riders that want a piece of it right now.
We'll see if he can number 2 in Lakewood, Colorado. There's Ivan Tedesco on the number 9 Makita Suzuki. He's battling with Michael Alessi. This is for second. Tedesco trying to get around the outside. Had a slower rider get in his way. That held him up some. James Stewart is just in front of them. Oh, Tedesco goes down! Oh, what a tough break for Ivan Tedesco. His season seems to be just full of moments like that.
Let's take a look at the replay here. You see Ivan Tedesco with the blue jersey on, comes in behind Michael Alessi. Alessi hesitates just a second, and Tedesco runs right up the back of his back tire. It was like he balanced his front on Mike's back tire, just looped him out.
Stewart, Alessi, and now Tim Ferry up to 3rd. What an unbelievable break for Ivan Tedesco. I mean, one of the best rides he's had all year, and he ends up face first in the dirt.
And I tell you, the rider that is definitely on fire right now is Tim Ferry, number 15, on the green bike. He has came from absolutely nowhere up into 3rd place, and he is giving Michael Alessi and James Stewart all the heat that they can handle.
Well, if you're wondering what happened to Andrew Short, he has dropped back to 4th after such a good run up front. When Alessi got around, it seemed to take some of the air out of his balloon, and he's dropped back a couple of spots now.
Michael Alessi right in the middle of everything right now. This is for the overall between Alessi and James Stewart. Ferry with an 11th in the first moto. Outside chance for an overall. He'd have to have a lot of different things happen. Great ride for him, though. Working up his way to the leaders.
Well, look at Michael Alessi on the 800.
I tell you, for Michael Alessi, it's a tough position to be in. You got teammates that you're sandwiched between. You got to protect behind. You got to go after what's in front of you.
Well, and he loses second to Ferry, and if Stewart's not careful, he's going to lose the lead to his teammate as well. Ferry coming up on the inside. Now Ferry knows his teammate's injured and in the midst of a championship fight. So he's not going to do anything to take him out, but at the same time, he's going to try to steal the headline here if he can, and he does!
Here comes Ferry. He got a little close to James Stewart right there. Tim Ferry is just having one of the greatest rides we've seen this season. He just has blown past every one of the top riders. Maybe he's been doing some secret altitude training up in the Alps himself, you know?
Well, he had a horrible Moto number 1, and boy, I bet he'd like to get that back right now, because if he could have had a much better Moto number 1, he could be looking at an overall win here today. Let's show you how Tim got through to this position earlier today. He started 8th. Then he passed Gavin Graysick on the 273 for 7th. Next up was Davey Millsaps for 5th.
Just rode around the outside of Davey.
Then he went after Davey's teammate, Andrew Short, for 3rd. Inside line here this time.
Tries an inside, just takes the line. Nice little block pass, takes the position.
And then he went after Michael Lessie on the 800.
Michael Leslie was battling for the lead here. Didn't quite protect what was behind him. And Ferry takes advantage of that, and just not less than a lap later, Ferry gets up the inside of his teammate James Stewart to take that overall lead.
So Tim Ferry now out in front of all the roost as he leads here in Lakewood, Colorado. Now we got to see if James Stewart has anything to take away. And you got to wonder too if Stewart can hang on here, Jeff. Even if he finishes 2nd, should be good enough for the overall. So Moto number 2 winding down. We're coming back. And Jeff, while we were away at commercial, we started doing a little bit math of who could end up with the overall here. And basically, if Stewart, Alessi, and Short finish where they are in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th respectively, they'd all be tied with 40 points.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of math going on there between the mechanics and the team managers trying to figure this out, where each rider needs to be. Andrew Short slipping back off that lead 3 just a little bit. You know, he's hoping just for a little extra effort here. One more position would guarantee him the overall.
And Andrew Short trying to catch up to Mike Alessi. Boy, Mike's riding very well here today. That's not going to be an easy task.
No, he has been just bonsai outside, sneaking through the inside. Mike Leslie's had a great ride. And talking about great rides, the fact that James Stewart, on a day like today, with this injury that he's suffering through right now, that he even has the opportunity to even be considered for the overall win, is just a tremendous accomplishment. And I tell you, when you want to be champion, you have to ride through pain like this every now and then.
There's Tim Ferry. Wonderful afternoon here for him, but again, he'd like to change early afternoon a little bit, or earlier this morning. See if he can redo Moto number 1, get a better finish, because he very easily could have had the overall as well, the way he's riding here in Moto number 2 on the final lap.
Yeah, he has been Mr. Moto 2, Mr. Second Moto. Just, you know, happy to leave with that Moto win, but man, you go back to the drawing board and reevaluate and say, what do I have to do to get that little better first Moto? Because I got the second Moto dialed in.
Yeah, he's got that part all figured out. You know, we talked about James Stewart earlier in that piece where he said if he can win the Supercross and Motocross championship, how all that stuff would have to go away. But you know, in reality, it's rides like this where you see him gunning through that kind of performance. That's what also makes for a great rider too.
Oh, it definitely does. And Tim Ferry, he's a happy rider right now, just cruising to the second Moto win here in Lakewood, and this is after passing all of the top guys on his way.
Yeah, remember, he started Moto number 2 in 8th position, and now he's on his way to the checkered flag and a Moto win.
So it looks like Ferry is going to win this Moto, but how's this overall going to shake out? These guys are still battling on the last lap.
So Tim Ferry takes the win here in Lakewood, Colorado in Moto number 2. That part of the day is complete, but who's going to get the overall? Will it be Stewart, Short, or Alessi? We'll straighten it out when we come back. Thursday on Speed, Nopi Tuner Vision is where the party's at. Drag racing, drifting, bikinis, and more. It's nonstop action around the clock. Nopi Tuner Vision, Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific, only on Speed. Well, James Stewart is exhausted, sore, and has given it his absolute all here today. Comes home with a second in Moto number 2. What an effort by that young man. All the riders on the track are AMA members. Are you? If not, call 1-800-AMA, join, or visit AMADirectLink.com. AMA, rights, riding, and racing. Well, here's our Toyota Trucks results. Boy, and look at David Villeman. He had a good ride today, as did Michael Byrne.
David Villeman and Michael Byrne were just behind that lead battle.
Here's Aaron with third place, Andrew Short.
You would think he'd be exhausted just finishing up that second moto. Andrew, you wanted this win more than anything, and you were so close this time. What was the feeling?
You know, it was a fight there for a while. There were so many of us real close and people going down. So all in all, it was a great race for me, and I wish I could have got that win, but I'm glad to finish third and keep building the way I am.
So who did get the overall? As you see from our Toyota Trucks overall, it goes to James Stewart with the 4-2.
James Stewart finally nabbed that overall win today. Not his passion that he's used to, but good job.
Here's Aaron.
Mike Alessi giving it everything he had out there, leaving nothing on the table. Mike, is it safe to say that you gave it everything you got?
That was everything I had. Oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. I'm so tired. I had the overall at one point, but I just want to thank all the guys that have been supporting me. I just feels great, you know. We all tied for the overall today. Just came up a little short, man, but it's a great ride. I mean, I gave it everything I had. As you can see, I'm exhausted, and that was everything I had. So.
Now, you've always said at the beginning of the season that it meant more to you than anything to be able to race up front with those guys. What is it feeling like now that you've been able to conquer that mission?
It feels great. This is my first second overall, so it's getting better every week. Last week, I almost won the overall, so getting better. I'll see you guys next week at WashU. I'll just go there and try and give my best.
We'll get you rested up. Congratulations. Great job today.
Well, here are the points now, and James somewhat comfortably out in front of Ricky Carmichael, but Ricky's coming back.
Well, he's coming back with one race at Millville, but that's not really going to affect this points championship.
The overall goes to James Stewart.
Coming off a stretcher last weekend at Unadilla to up front yet again here at Lakewood. James, what a day it's been for you. Take us through it.
Oh, man, you don't even understand how much pain I'm in right now. I can barely lift my neck up, and, you know, going down all the hills, it was killing me, but I got to thank my dad. You know, he was giving me crap all in between motos. I was telling him, man, I don't think I can go, and, you know, he was there. So, man, that's what having a family is about. And my team, they've been really supportive last weekend and this weekend. I'm just happy to get it overall for him.
Well, Big James cheering his son on. They'll get a little bit of rest, and then on to Washougal. Here's your winner, though, Tim Ferry, Moto number 2.
You know, it definitely felt good. It was a lot of work. I didn't expect to get all the way up and win, and I seen those guys getting tired, and I just dug deep. I got to thank my trainer Dean. He's from Colorado, helped me with the altitude stuff, and that second moto was awesome. That was a great feeling coming across that finish line.
I tell you, both of the Kawasaki riders put in great rides today, and you can see how much pain James Stewart was in on the podium. Notice we weren't seeing the sprinkler that time. That neck and back really sore.
Washougal comes your way August 4th. You'll see it right here on Speed. Make sure you join us for that one as this championship continues. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Emig, I'm Ralph Sheheen. So long from Colorado. Congratulations.